There's a setup that happens almost every single London session and nobody talks about it. Today I'm going to break down this exact London entry setup that happens every single London session and how I've used it on a day-to-day basis for the past 3 years live on YouTube, streaming my trading daily. Let's get into it. So the first thing about a setup at London Open is you do not want to be buying straight at highs and you do not want to be selling straight at lows after pushes happen. So what do I mean like that? If you're coming to the charts at London Open and you've had basically price pushing up bullish, full bullish push, and now you're at London Open here at a high, you don't really want to buy that high at London Open. Similar thing is that before London, if you've been pushing down, you don't want to sell that low at London Open. Those are two common mistakes for trading the London Open here. So I'm going to explain a setup that is pretty simple to follow. I'm going to go step by step into how to execute on that setup when we're at London Open. So I'm going to use gold for this example. This will work across Forex pairs as well as gold. So we're going to use gold for today. That is popular and something I trade myself. Also going to go through real life example of the exact same concept I've used in my trading with a trade I have taken this week, and look at that. Show you this working in action as I do trade this live on a day-to-day basis. So to start, we're either going to have two scenarios before the session. Okay, we're either going to have before London Open, we're going to have some form of consolidation, or we're going to have price doing some sort of pullback. Personally, I love when it's doing the pullback. If we get pre-London pullback, and it's called London continuation, right? So this setup is called pre-London pullback, London continuation, but there are times where pre-London is consolidating. In this 2026, we're seeing more of the pre-London pullback compared to the consolidation, but I'm going to also show you what to do in the consolidation. It is very easy if you understand that. So the first thing to understand is the time, session times, okay? This is an indicator. It's called trading sessions here. I've loaded on the chart on TradingView here. You guys can load it. Basically tells you when the session starts so we can visualize it. This time, this is like your Asian session. Asian basically runs till London, but you have this in between o'clock, I call it. So this is the time between the sessions, okay? And that's going to be your pre-London pullback and your London continuation, okay? And when we're talking about London, I'm talking about scalping here. I'm not talking about the whole intraday move. I'm talking about scalping from point A to point B. So I'm talking about a 15-minute time frame. That is where my entry is going to be. Okay, so I'm looking at 15-minute time frames. I'm looking to catch the actual London move, meaning a move during the London session. I don't want to be holding 4, 5, 6, 7 hours. I'm looking to hold maybe 15 minutes, 30 minutes max, sometimes lasts only even 5 minutes. So it's a scalp at the London Open. If you're a busy individual, someone like that, it's obviously useful for it to be quick. And also I prefer to trade the market like that. So once we understand the session, what I want you to focus on is what Asian session, which is highlighted by this blue box, has done. So if we're looking at Asian session moving bearish during the last half of Asian, that means we're getting bearish price action from Asian. Meaning in London, I can use that to my advantage and look to continue that, okay? So I'll show you another example of that happening, clearer example. So we can see here, we see bearish price action coming during Asian. I can use that into London. Now, this looks like London went up. Yes, on the big scale, it went up, but we're talking about trading the London candle. If we look at what happened at London here, this candle here dumped 200 pips, guys. I want you to understand. Yeah, it was, in turn, a bigger move that ended up reversing because we tapped some targets. But when we're trading the London Open candle, which is the candle right here, this is a 200 pip candle. So you don't have to predict the whole move. Like, that's a different strategy if you want to catch the intraday move. We're talking about the impulse, right? And you can see that time and time again. I'm going to show you another example of here's a perfect example. Last half of Asian session moving bearish, London Open continue that bearish move. And look, this one is the one that actually trended, right? So you'll get days that trend, some days won't trend, but still a 200 pip candle. Okay, and you see that time and time again. Here's an interesting one because the last half of Asian moved bullish and ultimately eventually London moved bullish, but London session just ranged. So it's a no trade day because we're just ranging the whole day, right? So if it's going to range like this, I'm not interested in a setup, obviously. So let's go ahead and actually talk about the entries. But that's the first step you guys need to understand is look at Asian session. How is Asian price move? Only on the 15-minute we're talking about here. All you have to do is look at the trend. Trend is going to be defined by lower highs, lower lows. That would mean Asian went in a downtrend. And if we saw 15-minute making higher highs and higher lows, that means Asian went in an uptrend. So we can simply look at what Asian session has done and give us an idea towards London. Now, in this in-between space time, this is the pre-London time, right? An hour before London Open, right? This dark black space here. This is where we can get the pullback. So what I'm looking for is the Asian went bearish. I'm not going to be a buyer here. I'm not at the charts this time. I want this time to give me the pullback. And once it gives me the pullback, as soon as I get my confirmation, which I'm going to tell you about, that's when I'm going to look for my entry. Okay, the end of the video will explain if it consolidated, what to do at a consolidation. Okay, so at the end of the video, I'll explain the consolidation, but I want to talk about the pullbacks because as we can see, there's a lot of pullbacks in this scenario here. Look, Asian pulled back, right? Same type of scenario. So what I'm looking for is after we pull back, so let's take a bearish scenario here. So in this bearish scenario, I'm taking that what happened here, we saw price close bearish during Asian session. Now we see price pull back, right? This is the pre-session. So this is Asian. Now we're getting into pre-London session. I'm not buying this because that's not the trend. That's not what we've been doing, right? I want to be trading with the momentum. London session comes, right? And that's where I want to find a way in to continue this move back down, okay? Now, it won't always be simple as one candle closing bearish. There'll be different setups, okay? I'm going to explain one of the setups and I'm going to talk a little bit about the other one as well, so you guys have a full picture. But this is the idea. So I'm looking at this pullback to give me the space to trade, because when we pull back like this is going to create something that is known as a trading range, right? This is called a trading range. Why is this a trading range? Because there's no support and resistance. What is support and resistance? When a candle closes bearish and the next one closes bullish, that creates a support. When a candle closes bullish and the next one closes bearish, that creates a resistance. We don't want to buy right here because it can reject. It's like a ceiling. We also don't want to sell down here right at this because this acts like a floor. If you try jump on the floor, there's a low chance you're going to break through the ground. Same thing is that if you right now have a door, right? Maybe you're sitting watching this from a bedroom and you run headfirst at that door, maybe you're not going to break through. It's a chance you do. There's a chance, right? That's why price does break through it eventually. But it's probably not going to be the best idea. But that space between you trying to jump onto the floor and run your head into a door, that space had no friction. You were free to do what you want. You could dance in that space. You could move back and forth, but you were moving. And that's the part we want to be in the market, is where we have freedom to move. And that's exactly why we wait for that pullback, because it's creating us that space. And we call that space an LTA, lobster trading area, right? Or low traffic area. So that's exactly where I want to be trading in that type of move. The setup I'm looking for is extremely simple. I am looking for a bearish candle close on the 15 and 30 minute together, right? This candle right here is a 15 and 30 minute together closing bearish. I'm going to enter with breaking the low with my stop loss above the high. So that's all I want to see. I want to see the 30 and the 15 minute candle close bearish. That will allow me to give me a setup that where I can enter breaking the low there. Okay, sometimes, right? Sometimes we have the 30 minute candle closing bearish. We have the 15 minute candle closing bullish, but the 1 hour candle is closing bearish. If I have one 15 minute candle closing bullish and it's a weak candle, I can still take the setup, but preferably I want all bearish. But sometimes we can use the higher time frame and just say, look, if we have the 30 minute and the 1 hour closing bearish, still valid. Okay, so let's have a look at the setup. We'll actually start with the setup that I actually took this week following that same idea, and that's going to be here. So we come to the session. What did Asian session do? No need to be a rocket scientist. We went down, right? Lower highs, lower lows. So now pre-session, we wait for that pullback, right? Here it comes. Now what do we need? Before London Open, we need the candle to close bearish. So we have one 15-minute candle bearish here, not the 30 yet, right? No 30-minute candle. Now we get the second one. This is the 30-minute, but it closed weak because this actually closed bullish. So we're still waiting for London Open. Boom, now we get the strong. So now we have the 30-minute candle and we have the 15-minute candle as well. And we're about to have the 1 hour candle together. So now we can put stop loss above the candle that closed above, a sell stop at the low here. And I can target to begin with at least a 1-to-1. And ultimately, you can target to the bottom of the range. What you're going to target is the next support. Depending how you want to push it. For me, this was a big range, 260 pips. I wanted to just try get around 100 pips here and then see what happens. So we can see here, never triggered. Actually, that one triggered there. I actually entered as we on the London Open. As you can see, that's London Open candle because it's a London Open setup, but you can enter slightly before on this one. But I entered on the London Open setup. This was my entry here. So I took it on my Vantage account. This was my entry here, took it on my Vantage account. As you can see, closed that at around there. But I took it on the London Open candle. So that was the same setup that I took it on the London Open candle. Boom. Beautiful move, actually moved 200 plus pips. Very similar to actually, see, there we go, 210 pips. Very similar to actually the day before, if I remember correctly, where we also had a 200 pip London candle towards the downside. So you can see that pattern repeat itself, right? See how it repeated itself? So that is a setup I want you guys, and this happens like a lot of London sessions. If we get the London session to do that, we actually get that pullback. Now, I said I was going to talk about the range setups. I do have a video talking about those range setups. If you want to trade live with me in London session and New York session on a day-to-day basis, you can check out the first link in the description. That is where we trade together as a team, as well as you learn how to trade and trade alongside me. And make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a subscribe. Appreciate you guys watching. Take care, trade sharp, and hopefully catch you guys very, very soon. Peace.